Right, Ji. I welcome you all. Right, Ji. Today we are starting on with our probably fourth day, and this is the second chapter we are starting. And this is quite a bit late. Now we have to move a bit faster. This chapter is important, and this is uh, a little bit deeper as compared to chapter number one, because chapter number one was giving you the overall reference to context with the surrounding concepts like program, portfolio, organization, strategy, OPM, and all that. Now we are going to focus the things around a project only. We are not going to be talking anymore about the program or a portfolio. So here the main topics are the organizational influences and the project life cycle. Okay. जी तारिक आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं?
नहीं सर, वो मैं कुछ नहीं कहना चाह रहा। वो वकील ने सलाम किया तो मैंने वालेकुम सलाम लिख दिया उसके ऊपर।
ओके ओके, वकील से पता नहीं चला कौन है। अस्सलाम वालेकुम वकील, आवाज आ रही है आपको? अच्छा, राइट, ओके फाइन। चलिए ठीक है, फिर ये है कि अगर कोई बात हो तो आप चैट में लिख दीजिएगा और अटेंशन के लिए आप वो हैंड रेज कर दीजिएगा। Okay, here we are, as I said, we are going to talk about the organizational influences. If you remember, we have already talked about the organizational stakeholders and organizational governance, operational stakeholders and organizational governance, I think. So now we are going to be talking more specifically about the project stakeholders and project governance. Then project team, a little time will be spent on that. And finally, the most important topic here is the project life cycle. This is a more detail about these influences. There are culture and style influences, communication, structure. Then there is the concept of organizational processes and enterprise environmental factors. In stakeholders, we have project stakeholders, project governance and success, and then composition of team, and finally project life cycle and project phases. Okay, as far as the organizational influences are concerned, naturally there are not many things around a project which affect the project. Now, if I can categorize these things, first of all, there are things which are documentary in nature, and there are rules, regulations, policies, procedures, and maybe um, some kind of archives, databases, or physical data held in files or somewhere, and some methodologies, some standards, some models which are involved, or whether they are implemented by your organization or not, but they are in the industry and you may have to follow them. So they all are to be recorded somewhere uh, and referred to from there. Such like things generally are called organizational process assets, which we'll talk later in detail in the next topic. Similarly, there are other factors which are not documentary in nature, but they impact the project internally or externally. There are certain factors coming from the organization side which hinder or maybe facilitate the project, and there are other factors coming from the external forces like organization, government and environment and all those things. So the internal factors the organization's culture, the style, the organizational structure, how people are responsible to each other. So these are internal to the organization. Um, Whereas the external factors, as I was saying, it might be a change in law, it might be the change in environment or whatever. So first talking about these internal things, we have a great impact on project by the way an organization functions. What is the type of organization you are serving in? What are the norms? What is the culture? And what is the style of working there? And how are they configured? What is their exact organizational structure? Um, have you studied those different organizational structures so far? Oh, that will be coming up later. So as you might know, the structure, like functional organization structure, and matrix organization structure, and projectized organization structure. So if you are organized in a way which is more suitable for project, is going to be useful for project. These things will influence how the projects are performed. Now, this all depends on how well your organization has gained a certain level of maturity, or how good project management systems are there, which will further facilitate, or which will be helpful in getting your organization measured for how much will it influence the projects. If your organization has gained some level of project management maturity, as we were talking about earlier, the OPM, organizational project management, the organization is aware about project management, they are aware about program management, they are aware about portfolio management, they are practicing it according to the good practices, then probably you are a good candidate to move on towards the maturity. And if your organization has already gained some level of maturity, then probably the things have crept into your culture, style, and organizational structure. You have reorganized yourself according to that. So naturally, your maturity will be better, and you will be able to better handle your organizational influence. Similarly, if you have got some system developed, like the documentation, the procedures, the policies, if there is a complete system of how the project will be done in this organization, that would also add up to the influences in the project. As I said earlier, that projects are always under the organization. Projects are not independent entities. So naturally, whatever is the culture or style of the organization, that is inherited into the project, and project manager should not think that he's free of all bondages and he's probably doing a project and he should not be, answerable to anyone for that matter. If there are more than one organization interested or involved in a project, or for that matter, they may be in a joint venture, a partnership, and the result is this project. Even then, project manager should not think himself independent of either of the organizations, because both of these organizations are going to have impact on him. Both will try to impose their will and their methods and procedures on him. And I would rather say that project manager who is dealing with two different organizations or more than one organization is having a tougher time, because he has to satisfy more than one master. So in this chapter we will talk about these kind of factors and these kind of things. First of all, the culture and style of the organization. Uh, what is a culture? Culture of an organization, uh, naturally we understand these are the things which people do, which people are in habit of doing, and they believe it to be right or whatever. But um, before an organization is started or initiated or developed, we sometimes give it certain principles along which it will tailor itself. So that is the very first injection we get to the organization as far as culture is concerned. If you form an organization with a notion that we will be, very disciplined and very, punctual or whatever, then that becomes something which has uh, entered into your veins. So you will not accommodate any person, any employee who does not fulfill that criteria which was initially imagined to be the spirit of the organization. So you might come from different organizations, different cities, different places, but when you enter that organization, you have to abide by that discipline and that punctuality, and only then you would be accepted. So there was a culture of the organization before even anyone joined the organization. Just right from the start, somebody has given an injection of whatever kind of culture should be there. But as the people join and employees start working together, they cultivate their own culture. Or I can say they will add on to that culture and they will form new norms. Uh, Naturally, if they are within the norms of the initial norms of the organization which they had set in, they won't mind. But sometimes these norms take over the existing norms or the basic principles the organization was set on until and unless the organization is not taking good care of it. Therefore, cultures and styles of working may change. An organization has to be watchful whether they are going to take the effect of any culture or how are they going to ensure that their culture is maintained. But anyways, culture will be evolved in the organization. No matter what kind of an organization is, the impact of culture will always be there. Like you see, even if it is an international chain, when they start up in Pakistan, they will be serving Pakistani people. They will be employing Pakistani people. Take example of any chain like KFC or whatever. So, what culture they have brought in with them? The style of the building or construction or furniture or way of serving or the dishes. So everything is set, but still you speak your language there, and the people who are serving, they are also from your own country, and the attitudes and the cultures are slightly different from what you see in anywhere else. Moreover, uh, because they have to serve here in Pakistan, they will even come up with dishes which are more appropriate to Pakistani audience. Like in Saudi Arabia, they had started Caribbean. So here they keep coming up with such kind of things. But you see, you won't find them if you go anywhere else. Although this is an international chain, it has got certain specific internationally consistent dishes, but at the same time, uh, they have certain delicacies like that. So this all has crept into the culture. Uh, then maybe in Pakistan, you see, you are working in a multinational company, and they will always be within that organization. They will make a mosque out of it. One of the rooms or a corner would be shifted into a mosque. This is a local culture impacting the organization culture. No matter it is international chain, it is whatever it is. So if the people, depending on the type of people, the level of honesty, corruption, or whatever this is creeping into that organization, and how hard they can resist it, that is ultimately forming the shape. So project will definitely be affected by whatever culture it is living inside. So this I was talking about the organization. The organization culture will affect the project, and this gives rise to the various norms. So what are the norms? The three things about a norm. First of all, if you join a new organization, how do you approach getting the work done? You know, in different organizations, there are different procedures. Maybe the style of the organization, open door policy or a closed door policy. In an open door policy, you can walk into your boss's office and just say what you have to say. And on the other hand, you might have to wait for numerous days for you to get some little time from your boss, who is otherwise free, who is otherwise not doing anything, but is living behind a closed door, and you can never access him. So, how do you approach if you need a problem to be fixed? what means are considered acceptable, you know, for getting the work done. But again, I will emphasize here, this is not unethical means I'm talking about. We can't make it a rule that bribe is a mean. We have to do it. No, this is not. That is a crime, and a crime cannot be in a culture. Cultures are not in crime because you understand how if something is punishable, how could it be culture? Like you see, then who is influential in getting the work getting done? To whom you should take your problem, you should know that. Sometimes the person shown as the figurehead, as the leader of the organization, has no power. And maybe another person, uh, this the person leading the organization is just there for a big status like a president of Pakistan. Who is running the show is someone else. So whomsoever is running the show or whomsoever can give relevant orders regarding your project or your problem, you should know whom to influence, whom to access. So for that, if you want to develop good norms and in your organization, naturally, if you can take care of these things, you know, lay out the way the approach is as if the work, how the work should be done. Lay out the laws or regulations, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, and who carries the weightage for making any decisions. So if that is done, probably we can affect our norms. But if you leave it, then probably it is never going to be any help to you. So organization culture is shaped by the common experiences of members of the organization. So this is a very careful statement. If organization does not want to exercise any influence into the culture, culture will evolve with the people. And yes, you must allow that culture to evolve, but naturally to some limit. So that limit has to be defined. You see, have you ever gone to Heathrow? Heathrow is one of the huge airports which is most busy because flights from anywhere to anywhere do stop there. So this is a multicultural kind of environment. The Buddha is coming here, Hindu is coming here, Christian is coming here, Jew is coming here, Muslim is coming there. So this is a huge place. So what they've done is they have taking the influence of various cultures and religions. They have created a huge prayer hall. Resting places are different, but they have created a huge prayer hall. And in the same prayer hall, they have got a small little mosque in one corner and you know idol of Buddha in one corner or whatever anyone needs to pray for. So that they have made in that area. They can always say that we are Christian and we don't accommodate anyone else. But yes, you have to take the influence of culture, different cultures. If you don't, then your customer or whatever, the team or whatever people they are there, they will be influenced and it will not. You will not be accommodative of them. Okay, how does this culture form? These are some points to be noted, and naturally, each point is definitely uh, carrying a lot of discussion, but we are not going to go a long way. One thing is shared vision. What is your opinion about a shared vision? What is a shared vision?
Vision created by stakeholders, leaders, and employees.
Right, right. This is the right definition of the shared vision. Vision, uh, from where the vision should come. We generally imagine that vision should be coming from top down, and especially in a country like us, we rely blindly on the top boss. He is the only sensible person in the whole organization. All other are goofs, and nobody can think the only mind is carried by that person on the top of his head, and probably he can decide everything. And we are not supposed to think, none of us. Now, this is a classical autocratic style, which we don't want to promote, and which is not right also. Uh, the person shown on top is not always the best person carrying the best mind, and he is never ever a vision, right? So this is completely, absolutely wrong to say. This is just, you're doing tail carrying all the time, and that's why we say, oh, visionary you are, what a great decision-making power you have, and this and that. Right, we do agree that that person has reached that level due to whatever reasons, but that doesn't make him the whole brain for the whole organization. He might have a better brain. I have no doubt in it, but normally they don't, because we don't promote people who have brains. They don't go up there. Second thing is, if and we generally believe that whatever he thinks is right. So he creates a vision for the organization, but he creates a vision for only that much time which is suitable for him, and he will be serving there. As soon as he leaves, he takes away his vision and leaves the organization completely, go nowhere. They have no vision whatsoever. Visions are not of persons. Visions are not people's. Visions are organizations. And organizations are not one person. They are not just the leader. And visions do not change with people. I do agree that vision do change with time. Over time, visions do improve and evolve. But that does not mean that you completely change your direction uh, right away. So first part could be that if you are a good leader and you have given a good vision, you have imagined a good vision, you have to get a buy-in from the people somehow. You have to tell them that this is the vision. Number two, if possible, if you can convince them in such a way that they start owning that vision, that is even better. And the best of best things is that you don't give them any vision. You ask them to give you their vision. So this is supposedly a joint effort where the vision is collected from down there and it reaches up, and the person sitting on top is just responsible for putting the sentiments of the whole organization into appropriate words which are easy to understand and remember. Vision should not be a very difficult statement. So this is called shared vision. And there are so many other things, if you can, there is the author by the name of Peter Sanghi, and there is a book by the name of The Fifth Discipline. If somehow you can come across that book, you must read it, and these organizational aspects will be very well defined there in that book. Although it is not a very new book, many other people have written a lot on these topics, but naturally he was the father of this concept of the fifth discipline, the organizational learning. He doesn't only talk about the shared vision and all that, values, beliefs, and expectations, but he talks about uh, organizational learning concept. Anyways, so this you understand that vision and vision should come from not from only from top, but it should be structured at top, made by people, and disseminated in a very simple, easy language which anybody can remember. Every lowest employee of your organization should be able to understand and remember it. Like I gave you the example of NASA. So everybody should own it. And if you own it, then that environment can come in where people start taking pride in it. Why defense forces are so, they have such a motivation. Why? Just because they have given them kind of a vision, and they will, whatever and whomsoever is in army or air force, they are automatically by default they are motivated. So whatever the vision is, then your the mission must be according to that, your values, belief system, and expectations. All this is the part of your overall culture. This should be the part of your overall culture. Then are the regulations, policies, methods, and procedures in vogue in your organization, like the quality policy, procurement policy, this and that. They will also impact on whatsoever how well you follow the organizational procedures. That is also going to affect your culture. Motivation and reward system. Well, most of the organizations they do have it, but do they practice it? Do they really religiously follow it, or do they um, keep amending it and updating it to the requirements of the day? Risk tolerances. How much are we tolerant towards the risk? How much is too much for us? If we are completely very tolerant, no problem, come and go, no, everything is okay with us, then you are not really very, you know, you can't uh, take take care of the risk in the organization. So you must have your tolerances defined, what really matters and what doesn't matter. So you have to draw a line between that. How do you view the leadership hierarchy and authority relationship? What is that? The open and closed door policy. How the top man works with the other people. In army they say the word sir. In many places is not really encouraged. Then in some places I've seen in America especially, they just call you with your first or last name. That's it. No matter how big a boss you are. Even if probably they've reserved it only for the president or the, I think, justices, that they don't call them by name. Otherwise, everybody they call them by their first or last name. If you want to respect someone more, then you call him with the last name. And if you know him well, then you call him with the first name. So other people would call me Mr. Iqbal. If somebody knows me well, he will call me Suhail then. View of leadership, and then is the code of conduct, ethics, and work hours. This is all also part of your culture, and naturally the operating environment. Now all this we have talked about the culture and style. This is actually part of the enterprise environmental factors. These are not policies and procedures. These are enterprise environmental factors. And enterprise environmental factors are what? These were the internal and external factors, not essentially documentation, but internal and external factors. And organization culture and style are internal factors within the organization. Culture, as I said earlier, culture, is learnable and shareable. So we can learn the culture of an organization we are entering, and we can share it with others who come in later. But at the same time, this is something we can pollute also. So therefore, if there is not a system in the organization where the proper culture and everything be defined, then probably uh, people will pollute the culture, and everything will be out of control. This can have strong influence on the project's ability. Naturally, whatever is the culture of the organization, however they work, the projects will, the same people are going to work there. So project will be also be impacted by that. Project managers should understand that different organization styles and cultures that may affect a project. A figurehead, I have already talked about. The person shown on the top is sometimes only the figurehead, and you should know the right person to contact or take orders from. You must know who is the decision maker in your organization. Um, in light of globalization and the international culture, when you're working with diverse organizations in different locations, on maybe online or whatever, so you may have to be more accommodative about the multicultural environment. We must consider what time it would be for another person, and is it convenient time to call him? What are the norms of that person? How would he behave or treat? Maybe some people, especially from Asia, they're not really very soft spoken. So if you call a Chinese, you may expect an outburst. On the other hand, if you are talking to a British or someone else, probably they will be very courteous, something like that. So whatever kind of people are you dealing with, you must know them and you must treat them accordingly. You must give the due share of margin for the various multicultural environments and take care of those things in your decisions. So do not plan a meeting when it is not comfortable for most of the people in a multicultural organization. Should naturally take a kind of a standard deviation and see how many people are from where, and look for the convenience of the majority. So if two people are from certain areas which are going to be a little bit uncomfortable, that is okay. But most of the people, you must look at their convenience. It is not the convenience of the boss. It is the convenience of most of the people. So, like you see, when we were working on the PMI standard once, I was the quality lead. My deputy was from India, and there was nobody else from this region. Most of the people were from North America and some from Europe. So, whenever we used to have our meeting, usually it was the comfort of the most, and that was the time most appropriate for North America. And for us, it was a very odd time, like you see, uh, 4 or 5 in the morning or something like that. And all other people were more comfortable. But the most uncomfortable time was for the people in UK. So it was very late in the night, like 1 a.m. or something. So we because there was only one person from there, so we had allowed him that he may not come if he cannot afford. Then are the organization communication. What is the mechanism within the organization for effective communication? If you do not have any mechanism and you just rely on hearsay that I have told you and you must have heard it, that is also one way of communication. And other is you can put everything in writing or in some mechanism. Maybe you can use the media, telephone or some other media, or emails and other things can be used for that. But this all good communication will increase your efficiency and effectiveness, and as well it will facilitate better decision making. So if you want, especially when the distances are more, when we are far apart, then we need to have more effective communication. Why? Because when I'm talking to you, you can read lot many things from my face, my lips, but um, I need not be, giving you a lot of message in it. So half of the message is in the body language or the physical presence. If I'm talking to you on phone, probably can't see me. As probably I gave you an example once. I was a few days back. I was traveling to Pindi, and there was a lady driving right beside me, and she was talking maybe on phone, and she was having all the full gestures, right? And I was thinking she doesn't imagine that the other person is not able to see her, so he will only hear her, right? So half the message has really gone down there. So basically, that is the thing. We do make all these gestures, but they do not become visible on telephone or such kind of communication. But naturally, voice is again a very useful tool, because by changing the pitch of your voice, you are still demonstrating a lot many things. You emphasize. Sometimes you relax. You laugh, or you make a joke out of it, or whatever. That is also a way of expression. So that is also good communication, effective communication. But again, come down to the writing. You have, okay, if you can't see me, then I must be more expressive in my voice, right? If you can't listen to me and see me, then I have to be most expressive and I have to give all the senses in in the writing, in the email or whatever it is.
It should be very
I
precise.
know exactly, and that's why uh, we are not really very effective in expressing ourselves in writing. We can't fully express ourselves.
This is a common issue, sir,
Exactly.
especially working with the virtual teams.
And have you ever enjoyed reading someone which gives you all the senses, not only the message, it gives you all the feelings around you. You know, the big authors, why people love them so much? It is just because they can create an environment around it. The complete environment. You can even smell what is happening there. That is how an expressionist would do it. And that is probably the right way of doing it. Because in olden days it was all about writing. You know, you could only express yourself by writing. So probably their writing, the classics, they're wonderful. You know, like the Russian writers, some of the authors from Russia, they had been so good that they really can create an environment for you. You might have heard about Leo Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. So huge names, and even you read their translations in English, you are really impressed how they do it. You know. They go into the detail of each and everything, and they create. Sometimes the whole chapter is only on one movement. He just turned his face, and that is a whole chapter, expressing the whole chapter. Sometimes it's very boring to read that, but at the same time, once you can understand what he's saying, then you can see it, you can feel it. Okay, so this is about communication, and if it's a good communication, then this is going to facilitate the decision making. And the modern means of communication are also to be used as we use today. Like, some of these things have almost become official now, like emails. Texting is sometimes also being treated as official. Instant messages. Social media, in some organizations, it is treated as, something prohibited, and some organizations are even using it for their office use. Then we have got web and video conferencing, a very useful tool, wonderful tool, naturally for trainings and for interconferences, like you say Skype for business and all that, web meeting, whatever we are using here or other tools also, they are wonderful. And naturally the electronic media. This was all about the culture and communication. Moving on to the organizational structure. As I said, there are different kinds of organizational structures in an organization. No, any one type they use, but actually there are different types of organizational structures that could exist. Okay, for better functioning, for better operability, an organization may be best structured as for the operations or their functions, for running the normal daily work. So most of the organizations are structured in a functional fashion. Different departments are divided according to the needs of the organization. There's account department, a finance department, this department, that department, operations department. They all are interacting as per the SOP, and this is a wonderful way of functioning an organization. But this is the worst way to do a project. In a functional organization, there is whole attention is on the repetitive work and the operations and the functions, but they have not considered projects when they were forming this organization. Projects have their own needs. Like you see, we do not have all the specialists sitting in one department. Like finance people, they're all finance specialists. HR, they're all HR experts. For a project, I may need a person from finance department, a person from HR department, a person from whatever operations. So I definitely need a mix. Why? Because I'm going to experiment on something. I'm going to work on some new idea. So I need people from different departments and different expertise. Moreover, the work I'm going to do is not going to be repetitive. And naturally, the people, if I'm taking from other functions, they have to be taken out of there. But functional heads are not very likely to part with their team members. Because in an organization where operations and functions are considered more important, they are the first priority. And projects do not become a priority at all. And ultimately they suffer. What a project manager can dream of if he really wants his project to be successful is full autonomy. He wants to have his own team, a dedicated team, which nobody can take away. He wants funding allocated to him. He does not have to be dependent on anything. And he should have complete independence of making all kinds of decisions. If such an environment can be created, uh, projects are more likely to be successful because project manager has no hindrances whatsoever. Such a structure is called a projectized organization. And in a projectized organization, there is no mention of functions. So this is a hypothetical organization in which no other job is done but the project. And a functional organization, from the change orientation, functional organization is also a hypothetical organization in which no projects are done, because there would be no organization which does not do a project ever. So functional is not suited for projects. Projectized organization is not suited for functions or operations. So what is the middle way? The middle way is called matrix structure. Matrix structure means that a person may have more than one bosses. He can report to both of them and both can expect different outputs from him. Now, from the face of it, it looks impossible because you can't have two gods. But at the same time, from organizational perspective, when you look at it, if we can make use of the same resource, we can more effectively use that guy. Normally, the people working under us are not fully committed. So to make them more committed and to best utilize their resources is to keep them busy. For all the allowed hours, definitely, I'm not talking about the late hours, I'm talking about the allowed 8 hours job. If the person can be employed more efficiently, organization would be very happy. So for different purposes, he can have two different bosses, and those bosses can distribute his time and can make use of him as and when required. Such a structure would be called a matrix structure, and from the perspective of project management, it would be a functional manager and a project manager being the bosses, and whomsoever is the person is going to be shared among these two people. This is the concept of matrix organization. But if the powers exercised are more on the side of the functional manager, it is still not good for projects, for running projects. This is a slight improvement from the functional organization, but still it is like a functional organization in which you have nominated a person to work on a project, but still functions or operations are more important to them. And you are not sparing this person when the project needs him. So the only benefit is the person has been assigned, but at the same time he is still not being able to go there. It is a will and wish of the functional manager. Therefore, this kind of a matrix structure would be called a weak matrix structure. Conversely, if we have a project manager having more power, maybe he is directly answerable to the big boss, and big boss is giving him more importance, and he have instructed all the functional managers to give priority to the project manager, then project manager is living in a strong matrix structure. he is exercising more power than the functional manager. And the middle way is if you can somehow create a balance between the powers of functional manager and the project manager, both of it will be the best of both worlds. Both work could be satisfied, but then we have to have a very good understanding amongst these two jobs, the project and the operation.
Hardly happens, sir.
Yeah,
Hardly happens.
this mostly happens. Balance. This is the minimum level of success for a project. You should have a balanced structure. The better is strong structure. The ideal is projectized structure, but functional and weak metrics, they are injurious to the health of projects. It's very difficult to get the job done in a functional or a weak metrics organization. If at all your organization is doing some kind of project, they must be at least, if they're really doing it, if they are successful, they must be at least balanced. So, if you look at the project manager's authority, in the first two cases, functional and weak metrics, this is almost none, are very limited. In a balanced matrix, there is a balance between the, authority of the project manager and the other person, functional manager. So he is low to moderate. In a strong matrix, it is on the higher side, whereas projectized exercises are enjoys full power. As far as the resource availability is concerned, this is almost the same because resources are controlled by the functional manager in the first two cases, so they are not mostly made available. And naturally, the same pattern in projectized you have dedicated resources. In the first two cases, is the functional manager who controls your budget, and balance is balanced, and in strong and projectized, project manager exercises more power and he controls the budget. Project manager's role could be part-time in first two cases, but otherwise project manager has to be a full-time project manager. He should not have any other responsibility. He should not be managing more than one project. He should not be doing some operational work. If at all you are doing it, you are in a functional or a weak matrix organization, and the chances of success are definitely low. As far as the team is concerned, team can be part-time in most of the cases, but for strong matrix and projectized, the even team could be full-time.
Sir, in the initial assessment question method, depending on the nature of the project, some project managers also control budget, but not all.
Hmm.
This answer weak matrix.
Balance.
Answer would be this.
I'm sure you balance some. वीक में तो वो बात ही नहीं बनती। और जब उसने क्या दिया ना सम कंट्रोल बजट, तो इसका मतलब है मिक्स टाइप बजट कंट्रोल हो रहा है, तो ये आ गया ना। अरे ये जितनी भी बातें हैं इनको नेचुरली बहुत सारी बातें हो जाती हैं, तो इनको अगर ध्यान में रखें, जैसे इन्होंने ये बात नोट की है, अब वो इसके अंदर से इतना से टुकड़े के ऊपर उसने क्वेश्चन बना दिए। He could make 20 questions out of this kind of environment. सिर्फ इस स्लाइड से वो कितने क्वेश्चन बन सकते हैं, तो अच्छे खासे क्वेश्चन इसके हो सकते हैं। Functional organization में naturally this is more autocratic kind of a thing, one clear boss. हाँ वो मैं आता हूँ। कंपोजिट उसकी एक रीजन है कि why do we have to have an hybrid of them all, because all of these are classic models, they are not workable models. 100% you can't have a weak matrix or a strong matrix or this or that. As I said, functional and projectized are hypothetical. So for all practical purposes, all of these five structures are hypothetical. You can't see 100% of anything anywhere. The thing you will see in most of the organization is a composite. A part of the organization is more functional in nature and another part of the organization is fully projectized. Someone is working in a weak matrix, someone is working in a strong matrix. So that is called a composite organization. That's why. Otherwise, the basic 5 models I've already discussed. Composite is any combination coming out of it. So any organization would have a different shape. So that is composite. The diagram shown as composite is not a standard composite diagram. That means that this is a combination of many. That's about all, nothing more. So the functional organization, let me move on to the diagram that will explain everything. The chief executive has a number of functional managers or whatever operational managers. These people have their own team. They have their own responsibility. Their teams are specialized and loyal to them, and they are all working according to some SP. And the operations may be running smoothly. It may be a beautiful structure to get the job done, but not the project operations. What about the project? This is an organization which is not in a habit of doing any kind of project, or maybe they have never done a project and this is the first time they are trying to do it. And chief executive just uh, nominates a person that please look after this thing and do this kind of a project. So this might be a research or this might be something which is, not really very important to the organization, but they are just experimenting on it. लगा रहेगा कोने में लगा हुआ हमें क्या तकलीफ है तो they are not really much bothered about it. But yes, just for the sake of it, they have given you the role. And now they have not given you anything else. No resources, no tools, nothing, no people. And ultimately, if you really want to do it or if any pressure comes on you, then you will have to look for resources. You will have to go to various functional managers and tell them, sir, I have been assigned to do this job, please help me, provide me funds, provide me some resources or whatever. And those functional managers would always say that please don't bother us, we are very busy in our work. We can't spare a single person. We don't have extra funds. So this project manager, we don't call him project manager. The responsibility is so low that we don't even call him project manager. We call him the coordinator. And coordinator is not some great role. We do have this project coordination role in a number of organizations. But coordination is just coordination. He has no powers whatsoever. A little no authority, a little responsibility, but no power. So he will keep running from pillar to post for availability of resources and funds and all that. And if if he gets it and if he somehow completes the project, the credit is even credit is not given to him. So it is a kind of a thankless job. And otherwise, he's set for destruction. He's set for failure. Because he doesn't know who can do this job, who will be assigned to him. He doesn't know nothing about it. अगर उसे ये पता होता वो उस बंदे के पास जाता है, खुदा आला बात है, मेरा काम कर जाओ आगे 2 घंटे के लिए. But he doesn't have that kind of. In a weak matrix, we have exactly the same structure, the same project coordination, same organization structure. But the coordination now has gone down to the people level, not at the functional manager level. Because he has been told which are the people who will be working for him. So these 3 people who have been earmarked to him.
Get a question here, sir.
जी अकील आपका काफी लंबा चौड़ा क्वेश्चन है. All these organizations are project-based organizations. It means they are only created till the life